Welcome back. I want to begin today's episode with kind of a specific statement. And it's one sentence that either has the power to offend you or to set you completely free. What happened to you, it was not your fault. But who you become is entirely your responsibility. Sit with that. Because for many years, I believe responsibility meant blame. Like being responsible is you're wrong, you did something wrong, it was your fault, that kind of thing. And I thought I accepted responsibility for my future. I was somehow saying that what happened to me didn't matter. The pain wasn't real. The betrayal wasn't devastated. That childhood wound didn't exist. But I've come to learn that that's not what responsibility means. Because responsibility doesn't erase your pain. It gives you permission to stop being imprisoned by it. How many years? Think about it. How many dreams? How many relationships? How much joy? How much of this has been stolen? Not by what happened, but by continuing to let what happened decide who you become. And that's the conversation we're having today. Because today isn't about blame. It's about creating freedom. See, responsibility isn't carrying the weight of your past. It's carrying the keys to your future. The truth is there's a weight we were never meant to carry. So let's acknowledge something first. Life is not fair. Yeah, I heard that a long time ago when I was a child. My brothers were fighting, tried to stop it, couldn't stop it. Went upstairs to hide in the bathroom, came out, my dad's screaming at my brothers to go to bed. My dad looked at me, you go to bed too. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. It's not fair. He says, life isn't fair. Get used to it. Life isn't fair. Some people begin life with encouragement, others with criticism. Some begin with safety, others with fear. Some are taught confidence, while others fight for survival. Some even grow up believing that they matter. Others believing that they're too much, they're not enough, they're invisible, that they're broken, that they're unlovable. If any of this feels familiar, I want you to know that none of this was your choice. None of it. Maybe somebody betrayed you. Maybe somebody abandoned you. Maybe somebody abused your trust. Maybe someone spoke words over you that became a soundtrack in your head that was played over and over again. Maybe life just happened. Maybe tragedy happened. Maybe loss happened. There might have been addiction. You might have been bullied. Maybe just illness. None of those things were fair. And none of those things were your fault. None. One of my earliest memories, um, I took a course a long time ago, and they said that sometimes the very earliest memory like holds a key to how you see the world, or like a massive belief that you have about the world. And so my earliest clear, vivid memory, I'm I'm in a room, it's dark. I'm in a crib in this room. It's dark, but there's big curtains, like blackout curtains up against the window, and there's a crack of light and coming through in between the edges of the curtain. And through the air is little dust particles floating like little sparkles. And I really wanted attention. My mom's sleeping on the couch. And something in me knew that, like, if I had to cry for it, it meant that I didn't deserve it. Like, I wasn't worthy of just having attention, that I'd have to cry for it. And something in my little head decided that I'm not worth it, or I'm not lovable, or I'm not good enough. So I decided how I compensate for that would be I'll be okay being alone. My mom used to tell me a story. She said, I was the best baby ever. She said, never cried. Sometimes she forgot I was even around. But that came out of this kind of feeling in the background that I wasn't good enough. And that the only one I had to rely on was myself. So here's what happens. Pain becomes identity. Instead of saying, I experienced this, I experienced failure, I experienced pain, we begin by saying, I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable. Instead of saying I was rejected, we become, I am unworthy. You see, that event ends, but the identity continues to walk with us. The wound isn't what traps you. The identity built around the world is. Let's talk about the difference between fault and responsibility. And this could be one of the most important distinctions that you'll ever create or you'll ever learn. And I learned this a while back, and I'm going to add to it a bit here and there. Fault asks, who caused this? Responsibility asks, what do I do now? Fault lives in yesterday. Responsibility lives in right here now, in the present. Fault points fingers. Responsibility opens doors. Think about driving. If another car hits you, it wasn't your fault. But whose responsibility is it to steer the damaged car safely afterwards? That's yours. And life works in the same way. Someone else may have caused the damage, but only you can choose the direction from here. But the moment you confuse fault with responsibility, you unknowingly give away your power. Because then your healing depends on someone else apologizing, right? Someone changing, someone understanding, someone validating, someone else making things right. And what if they never do? Do you stay stuck forever? I mean, you could, but no. See, you deserve better than that. A long time ago, I did a course and it redefined responsibility for me, which the way they redefined it was great. Not about judgment. It's not about right and wrong. taking responsibility for something is simply acknowledging that you're cause in the matter. Now, maybe not exactly what happened, like it's not your fault, but you can take responsibility for the story you created and that you walked with and carried with and believed since that time. That you had something to do with it. The thing that was done to you was not your fault. But it's your responsibility to stop carrying it with you forever, the story. Especially if it's holding you back. Healing begins the moment you stop waiting for permission to move forward. See, the truth is you can't go back and change the past. And some people it didn't even register that it had that impact on you. And even if they came back and apologized for what was done, will that fix it? Can't spend your life waiting for an apology that will probably never come. And even if it did, it would be empty and hollow. So let's talk about creating a framework for responsibility. When life has shaped you in painful ways, try practicing these 5 principles. Very first, you just recognize. Notice the difference between the fact and the story. See, maybe the fact is I failed. And the story is I always fail. One is true, the other is fear talking. And it's interesting, we are meaning-making machines. Something happens, and we can make it mean something. And then we can live from the meaning, not from what happened. Then number 2, interrupt. Catch that automatic inner dialogue, that negative thought process. When it says you'll never change, interrupt it and replace it. You can ask, is that absolutely true? Because most of the time it isn't. You can say, that's not true. You can also say, thank you for sharing, but I'm going to keep on doing this anyway. Number 3 is self-compassion. See, you can't hate yourself into growing. You can't hate yourself into changing things. Because growth is not built through self-hatred. You cannot shame yourself into becoming the person you're capable of being. It doesn't work that way. You need to learn to treat yourself the way you would treat somebody you deeply love. Quote, the voice that heals you should never sound like the voice that wounded you. You ever got paid really close attention to that inner critic, that negative dialogue? Try this for a little while. Is it saying I am something, or is it saying you are something? If it's saying I am something, it's something you decided through a situation. You decided I am this, and you spoke it into existence, and you spoke it over and over again. And you can make another choice. If it's you are, it's something somebody said to you that you took on, and you spoke it over and over and over. Neither of them have power over you unless you give it. Engage. Don't wait to feel motivated. Take one small action. Read 1 page, walk 10 minutes, make 1 healthy choice. Momentum creates motivation. Motivation doesn't come first. Momentum creates motivation. And responsibility. Stop asking what should have happened and start asking, what can I do today? That's where your life changes. The truth is your purpose is bigger than your pain. And this is something I completely believe. My purpose, your purpose, our purpose isn't trying to prove your past wrong. Your purpose is to become the healthiest version of yourself. So much so that your past loses the influence. But not only that, learning from it, becoming better because of it. Think about it. You don't heal to erase your history. You heal to stop repeating. Because the greatest echo in your life is unhealed pain. And healed pain teaches. Maybe your parents couldn't model emotional regulation, but you can. Maybe nobody believed in you, but you can be somebody who believes in others. And I do this every day. I recently got a note from an athlete who was moving away, young athlete. And in the card, it said, "Thank you for believing in me when I didn't think anyone else did." What if that's your purpose? Just to believe in people. And maybe because nobody believed in you, you know how important it is. Then every time you show somebody you believe in them, you heal a little part of yourself. Maybe kindness wasn't shown to you. So you can become kindness. That's how karmic cycles end. I'm reminded of a story I heard. I did a meditation retreat, 10-day silent meditation retreat, meditating 12 and a half hours a day, not speaking to anybody, not looking at anybody, not acknowledging anybody. And they were trying to explain karma. And so they had this story. Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, was like, the Buddhists believe in reincarnation. You come back and back and back, basically to balance the karma. And at one point in his reincarnations over and over again, there's this cycle. He was in a karmic struggle with another being. So one life he'd come as the hunter and the other entity would come as the cat. And at the pivotal moment, he would lift his spear and he would strike down the cat. He would kill it. And then when he passed, in order to balance the karma, he'd come back. But now he's the cat and they're the hunter. And to balance the karma, the entity would strike him down. But unfortunately, have to come back to balance the karma again, on and on and on. And it's an endless cycle, right? Imagine living in an endless cycle of nobody showing you kindness and you becoming angry and showing no one kindness. And you'd be cycling it over and over again. So at one point in Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha's existence, the moment he was about to strike the cat, he had this blaze of awareness. He said, this will never balance the karma. Like killing this cat will never balance the karma. So he laid down his spear. And thus the karma was balanced. And that cycle was on, over, and he moved on to the next. What if your whole life is about breaking cycles? Maybe this cycle went from mother to father to mother to father, or parents to child, parents to child, parents to child, until it finally ended up here. And you have this amazing moment of clarity where you can stop the cycle. Because you don't break generational patterns by just talking about them. You break them by becoming someone different and putting an end to that cycle. See, the greatest revenge you can ever have in this life is not success. It's refusing to become what hurts you. Imagine 10 years from today, someone asks what changed, and your answer isn't, no, it's not. My past disappeared. It's I stopped allowing my past to be in charge. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Think about the younger version of yourself, the scared version, the insecure, the hurt version, the lonely. Now imagine walking up beside your younger you. Would you blame them for where they are at? Would you hold them? Would you criticize them or would you protect them? Now realize that younger version is still inside you, still waiting, not for criticism, for kindness, for compassion, for leadership. Become the adult your younger self needed. How would it feel to one day realize that you have become the person that would have protected the younger you? So your new purpose, and I want to leave you with this today. See, you didn't choose every chapter, but you do choose how the story continues. And life happened. People failed you. Circumstances shaped you. Pain changed you. None of that makes you weak. But just staying there in that, when healing is actually possible, would be surrendering your future to your past. Don't surrender your future to your past. Don't do that. You deserve more. Your future deserves more. The people around you deserve more. The world deserves to meet the person hiding behind and underneath the years of survival. Because that's who you're becoming. Not despite what happened, but because you chose to grow beyond it. So make today your declaration. My past explains me, but it no longer defines me. What happened to me was not my fault, but who I become, who and how I love, how I heal, how I show up, how I serve, how I live from this day forward is entirely my responsibility. You know, it's strange, but it's not a burden. That may be the most liberating truth you'll ever accept. Because the moment you embrace responsibility, you stop becoming the victim of your own story. And you start becoming the author of chapters that haven't even been written yet. Truth is responsibility. It's not punishment, it's power. Okay. If today's episode really resonated with you, I want you to write down this sentence and place it somewhere you're going to see it every day. What happened to me is not my fault, but who I become now is entirely my responsibility. Read it every morning for the next week. Let it become more than a quote. Let it become a decision. And if you know somebody who's carrying the weight of a painful past, please share this episode with them. It might be the reminder that they need. Because we don't choose every wound, but we can choose what grows from it. Because here on Your Inner Advocate, we believe the strongest people aren't those who were never hurt, They were the ones who decided pain would become purpose, wounds would become wisdom, and their past would become the foundation for a life lived with courage, compassion, and intention. Keep moving forward and keep building your own inner advocate.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Inner Advocate, a podcast by Kimen Peterson, formerly Conversations with Kimen. If you found value in today's episode, please follow, like, and share the podcast with someone who you think may benefit from it. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and connect on Instagram at your_inner_advocate. Until next time, keep listening to and developing your inner advocate.